Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Attitude for Gratitude weekly live podcast. Tonight's going to be a good show. We've got Jake in the house and we've got Rob in the house. Rob, you guys have heard from before. Jake, he's only been on for a few minutes on maybe one show, I think, maybe two. But it's going to be a good one tonight. Elena is might be coming in. I am not sure. I know she's dealing with some stuff at home. Nothing major, just some responsibilities, which happens when we get to this point in our life. So, first thing I want to talk to everyone about, I'm just going to go over some stuff that we have going on here at the club. First and foremost, we'll talk about Mini Pa, Minnesota PAAX presents Mini Prom. It's a sinking ship, Big Book page 153, here at 2218, March 11th, 2023. Mini Pa's having their prom here. It's a pretty big deal going on here. So if you know people young in recovery or you're looking for something for maybe your teenage kids to come check out, that's going to be a fun, safe environment, come on down. It's going to be a blast here at 2218. It's a suggested donation. I think it's $5 or $10 here. I will get the flyer. I'm going off memory on this one though. $10 suggested donation. It is drug and alcohol free event. There's some limited edition merchandise that's going to be offered up here. But they did their New Year's party here, and it was a great turnout, and it was a blast. So it was good to see that there's that option and that the club here is offering that up. So they had such a great experience over the New Year's that they're doing their prom here, which is a really big deal. So come on down and support that, or come on down and have fun. You don't have to be young in age. It's considered young at heart. So anyone's welcome. Come on down, check it out. We got some other stuff going on. I'm going to be talking about the Ride for Recovery quite a bit. I did confirm with Dan J. He'll be on the show, I believe next week. He's going to pop in for a few minutes and just talk about some of the stuff that's going on with the Ride for Recovery. We got the 40th annual Gratitude Night is coming up at the Minneapolis Convention Center, Saturday, March 25th, from 6:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. That is it's a big event too. It's a good time. We've always had great experiences there. There's an Al-Anon speaker, Jim D. There's an AA speaker, Rose E. It's about intergroup. It's going to be there. Volunteer countdown, sobriety countdown, Area 36 service committee, info tables, DJ dances, photo booths. It's a blast. Tickets are $12 in advance, $15 at the door. Again, it's the 40th annual Gratitude Night. I know they're going to show up for this one, so be part of it. Minneapolis Convention Center. It's one of the first big events I was part of or I went to in recovery, and it was a great experience because the first year I went, we had this big, huge snowstorm, and it was a fluke why we ended up with that snowstorm, but it made for a great time. So tomorrow night, Jane's Cafe. We've got pizza, tossed salad, garlic bread, cake, ice cream, cookies, chips, chili, cheese. Matter of fact, slices of pizza are $1, salad's $1, garlic bread's $1, ice cream, cookies, and cake, and all that. It's almost an a la carte day, so there's a lot of options. Chili, cheese, chips, like the kind of like a walking taco deal, but they got those for $2, and they got a cracker and cheese plate, $2, soda, water, coffee, all that good stuff. And this Saturday, we are doing a breakfast, or this Sunday, we're doing a breakfast. It's going to be a blast. March 12th, pancake breakfast for $7. It's 2 pancakes, 2 bacon, 2 sausage, juice, coffee, treats. You know how it is when it comes to Jane. She really takes care of business, and it's going to be a blast. So come on down, and as always, there's meetings throughout the day here at 2218. So you come get your tum-tum filled up, and then you head on over to a meeting. Quite a few different options. So come check it out. 2218. If you're looking to do some volunteering, or you know someone who needs some like community service hours filled, or you're just looking to kind of give back, come on down to the club. You can speak with anyone at that front desk, and they can help guide you towards becoming part of this club membership. There is benefits to like prepaying for 6 months. You get like a really nice commemorative, or what is it? A commemorative coin or commemorative? Yes, there's benefits to that, but also you just become a member and make this your club. There's some big benefits to having this as your home club and being a member of this club. I'm a member to a few different Alanos just because it's me. The way I see it, it's me supporting the places that help keep me clean, sober, and it saved my life. So in my mind, there's really nothing I couldn't do to give back to the community, and making an Alano club. To be a member of an Alano club it's just the way I see of giving back and part of my recovery. So if you want some more info about that, come on down. Anyone at that front desk can talk to you about it. Scott's usually here. We just had him on the show, and we talked quite a bit about the options of becoming a member or a volunteer. So you can fill out the sheets here when you come. Also, I want to talk about our Saturday nights. We've got some pretty cool options here on Saturday nights for speaker meeting. If you'd like to come share your story, there's a fill out sheet at the front desk. Come on down, fill that out, and they kind of go in order. So when you're up to speak, you come on down and you can speak. I believe it's the last weekend. They do a hot dog hootenanny. I should have the dates here. I thought I took a picture of it, but I'm not finding it right now. So Rob will bring me that information when he comes in. We also, last week or the week before, we did start a new meeting. It starts at the same time this show starts here at 2218. It's Get to Know Dorothy, or Friends of Dorothy is what the name of the meeting is, and it's an LBGQT plus. I apologize if I didn't get all the vowels correct, but it's an open meeting to anyone who wants to identify however they want, and whatever you feel comfortable in your skin with, you're welcome. So they just started that meeting. It starts at 8 o'clock here at 2218, along with all the other meetings. We have noon meetings every day of the week. We have early morning meetings. We have everyday NA meetings. All different types of fellowships happen here at 2218, and you've heard us talk about it week after week. So it's a great place to come find some recovery. Last thing I want to talk about until I bring up some more advertising is the Ride for Recovery. Like I said, I just confirmed with Dan J about coming on the air. I think he's going to be one of the road guards this year, and he's always really involved with the Ride for Recovery. And I think it'd be best that I have him come on and talk to you guys about it. So I'll just give a brief, as always. Sober fundraiser for 2218 Alano Society of Minneapolis. This is the world's longest continually running Alano in the world. Like, that's crazy. And we're part of it, and you can be part of it. It's the 5th annual Ride for Recovery. Oh, great. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Pops. Yeah, it was my birthday. Glad you put the numbers out there, guy. I'm glad everyone knows. He got it wrong, though. I'm 34. He just hit the 4 instead of 3. But that's okay. I'm 34. It's the 5th annual Ride for Recovery, an all-day music jam, Saturday, June 24th, 2023. Join us in support to help keep the doors open. That's what this is. It's ultimately to help. It's to help with finances here, and it's more or less the community gets the benefit of this. The person in recovery, the person in recovery's family, like in my case, I brought my entire family, extended family, all came down here. I'm the only one who's in recovery, and they came down here and had a blast between the music, the barbecue, the silent auction, and I'm the only motorcycle rider in my family, and they all came down here to watch 100-plus bikes pull into this parking lot at once. It's pretty moving, and it's an experience. So like I say, it's called the Ride for Recovery. You don't have to be a motorcycle rider to come down here and enjoy a whole day of fun. The day starts off at the St. Paul Harley. The kickstand's up at 10, but Brad B's down there cooking a pancake breakfast, and there's registrations. Like, it starts at like 8 a.m. You can even get there earlier. I'll be down there doing the podcast like I did last year and the year before. We'll be doing it from St. Paul Harley. And once they take off, I'm going to pack my gear up and come on back to the club here and set up for doing the show throughout the day. and there's just tons and tons of stuff going on at noon. We got everything kicks off basically here at the club. There's a silent auction. The barbecue's happening. We got Zoo Factor. We got multiple different bands playing different styles of entertainment throughout the day. We got a featured speaker at 6:30. There's an all-star jam, silent auction, raffles, and all sorts of stuff. So admission, the wristbands are $20 in advance, and they're those nice like rubbery wristbands that you wear. I still have mine from the last few years. It's $20 in advance, $25 at the day of the event. Donations include ride, dinner, dance, and silent auction. Additional individual items will be sold. There is raffle, I think 50/50s. We're doing the dunk tank. There's just tons and tons of stuff that day. And I still forgot to get confirmation about any discounts at St. Paul Harley. I've had quite a few people reach out. I know in the past there was some discounts offered for people from the club or people on that day down at St. Paul Harley. So I will get that confirmation. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about this before the day is through, before the podcast is over, depending on how deep we dive tonight, Jacob. Rob will be showing up here probably in the next half hour. Until then, though, I'm going to pick Jacob's brain apart, and we're going to just get into some stories and not slam things on the table because it really echoes. Although I have you on mute still, so don't worry about it. You're 1, 2, 3. Hi, who are you?
Hi, Tim. I'm Jacob.
Pull that mic closer to your face.
Hi, Tim. I'm Jacob.
Like, pull it right to wherever you're comfortable where you don't
Hi, Tim. I'm Jacob.
Oh, you are.
Yes.
Jacob J is in the house. You just celebrated 6 months.
Yes, I did.
Is this the first time that you've attempted recovery?
No, it is not.
Because I've known you for quite a few years now.
Yes.
Yes. How do you want to start? What do you want to get into?
Whatever you want, Tim.
Oh, you're acting like I'm some type of host or something.
Yeah.
Well, I got a little list.
Somebody didn't send me no questions, so.
That's the point. I got your text. I wasn't going to send you questions. All I wanted to say, is there anything off limits? You said no, and I said, all right, uppercut time. Speaking of uppercut time, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about little uppercut times, wrestling, in the ring, all sorts of stuff. That's that's on here. So, you know what? You, of all people, have always had this strong faith, this strong presence, religion, faith, whether you've struggled with it or not. I saw you when me and JP were doing that Monday night NA meeting down at the Northside Church. I'd see you because you were there with, I think it was a native situation going on. Talk to me about your faith. What's your faith look like today, and how's it evolved since you've tried, just your life? What's been going on with your faith?
So, my faith. So I'd have to say I've always had very strong faith in God. Now, throughout my last relapse, I really got to see the strength of that faith. And I always had it misconstrued where my faith would actually bring me into a closer connection with God. But I realized with that faith, God kept me safe. But it wasn't until I really got into the program and really started going through the steps and the material and getting a sponsor that I realized the rooms opened up that connection for me to have to God.
So the rooms helped you with your faith.
Oh, they have more than supported my faith. They especially in the big book, the We the Agnostics part. Now, mind you, when I first met my sponsor, and I'm like, I don't even know what an agnostic is. And then he starts telling me. And I'm like, I think I'm an agnostic. Now, this is after, I've been a believer since like 2015, right?
Okay.
And this is even after, my multiple attempts at Teen Challenge.
A bunch of faith-based
Yes.
type recovery situations.
Yes, and also through Metro Hope Ministries and just the We the Agnostic part, right, really blew me open it really got it really sat me down and showed me how my perception of who God was has been distorted throughout not only society but my upbringing
Or
and
religion alone.
yes, and
Yes.
religion, and also creating my my own view on it. And once I really got to realize that part of where the prayer and meditation, where that step 11 comes in, that prayer, that direct line, really allowed room for me to grow, and still is breaking down walls and barriers that I have in my mind. You know, because they say a lot of times too, like, even as we're growing up, you know, our father figures, the way our fathers communicate or are intimate with us in a loving way, that that's who God is portrayed to be, because, you know, we look at our father and then we think of, you know, God our Father.
So I'm going to read you something real quick. It's at the end of the first paragraph in the second paragraph of We of Agnostics. They talk about, at the beginning, it's, you know, in the previous chapters, we learned something about alcoholism, and it goes on a little bit from there. And the end of that, it says, you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. To one who feels he is an atheist or agnostic, such an experience seems impossible. But to continue as he is means disaster, especially if he is an alcoholic of the hopeless variety or drug addict of the hopeless variety, to be doomed to an alcoholic or addict's death, or to live in a spiritual basis. It's not always easy. It's not always easy alternative to face. Now, reading We of Agnostics, I know has saved a lot of people on their path in recovery. Just from me being in the rooms, I personally didn't experience any issues with a higher power. Just mine was from a gift of desperation, though. I didn't have a belief before these rooms, and I don't even know what my belief is today. I just know what I'm being told works, so I don't challenge it. I know you know I have had multiple conversations about things like that, and I know people. I've heard on this show, people come into these rooms with this grudge against God, or against what they, because we got to make this clear, is we understand now, or I understand now, that higher power or spirituality and religion are a million miles apart. I used to see it as the exact same thing, though. Religion is spirituality, is faith. But what you're sharing is that basically when you went through this with your sponsor, this is, if I heard you right, this opened you up to a path of your creator and being on a better understanding of it.
It opened me up to having a relationship with him.
With what you say is your
God.
creator or God?
Yes, God.
All right. Because, hey,
So-
everyone's own higher power is their own higher power.
In that relationship takes personal intimacy,
Okay.
in which, you know, the prayer, the third step prayer, even, you know, like, even starting off, right, even though I had faith, my first few months, even into sobriety, I literally had a 10-minute battle with my flesh to get down on my knees and just say the serenity prayer, even.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my flesh rebelled against it nonstop.
What do you? I'm going to dive into what you're saying. Does that mean you had a personal problem just saying just saying those prayers because of not believing?
No,
Or-
what I'm saying is the submission part of me getting down and surrendering, because there was more than just like the mental frame was there, and I started realizing, why is my body like rejecting so much, you know? And I think about even in the disease of addiction, like the disease rejects anything that is truth or pure, you know, like even coming into treatment, even whenever people would tell me things I need to work on, my flesh, my adrenaline would literally rise up and be like, you know, fight.
Fighting,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was either fight or flight mode. Either I'm going to argue with you about how I'm right, or either that, or I'm just going to take off and leave, you know?
Right. No.
And so
Okay.
And so I really began to. I'm like, I had to really ask myself why is it so hard? Like, I know I want to get down. I know that I want to get down on my knees. I know that I want to say this prayer because these are requirements that that are suggested.
Okay.
And I know that if I don't, I'm going to die again.
And
you know?
people that are listening that don't follow what he's like, what he means is to die knowing that the alternative, not accepting this program or recovery.
Yes.
Accepting recovery and what we're being suggested to do in recovery.
Yes.
The alternative, when he says he's going to die, he means that's the alternative.
Because Tim, and the reason I tried every other thing. I tried coming into the programs. I tried to, working the steps without a sponsor. I would try just, only,
Your will.
Yeah. Everything was just my will. Everything I knew was my will. I was just not teachable, and I was not open to suggestions, period.
So this right here, God, I offer myself to thee, to build, want to let him in real quick. This is what he's talking about, the prayer that he's talking about, the third step prayer. It's, God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them that may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always.
Yes.
That's the prayer he's talking about. Now,
So the bondage to self part, right?
oh, bondage of self.
Bondage to self, I think of my own will and bondage to me knowing everything. Bondage to me getting angry. Bondage to me having resentments. Bondage to me just really is just straight character defects.
I can mute you now. We can't hear you. So, and here's the thing. With bondage of self, John B., if he's listening, he's the one who like really opened my eyes. Not opened my eyes to it, but the bondage of self was my biggest defect of character, and it still is. It still comes back to surface.
Yes, and that's why I really like, for me, the step 11 really allows, so like the program aspect of it, like through this 12 steps, they really help me dig and pull out the roots of my character defects, which then when I'm in prayer and meditation allows room for the Holy Spirit to come in and do his work.
We often made decisions only thinking about ourselves and not thinking of others. We are now going to stop this way of thinking and release the bondage of self that has run our lives. The definition of bondage of self is the state of being bound by or subjected to some external power or control, which he's talking about. And I think that's when it comes to our addiction. I say our, but I really mean mine because I can't speak for your experience, but it was selfish, always. How many people, especially after we came into the rooms, made connections, then went back out, how many people cared about us, and we were basically like, I had my middle finger in there when I was saying that, but I forget we're on the air sometimes, and I do these gestures or air quotes, but it is. We have people that care about us and love us. Yeah, you're off mute.
Did you mute me? Oh,
yeah.
All right.
But that bondage of self thing, I think a lot of people's addictions or alcoholism, without realizing it. I didn't realize how selfish I was when, sausage fingers, are you talking about? Yeah. I didn't realize how selfish I was until I got clean and I watched people I cared about when they'd go back out.
Boom.
And I saw it, and I wanted to get upset with them, or I still want to get upset with people I care about that are still using, but I realized, like, they don't realize it.
Well, check this out. And it's like, even whenever I went out and used again, my first bondage of myself was, well, nobody cares about me. Why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why my mind would come up with so many justifications of why nobody loved me, why nobody cared for me.
Yeah, like, oh, they didn't answer their phone one time. Nobody cares.
Oh, yeah.
Anything.
How many times?
They didn't respond to my text in 5 minutes.
Right.
So,
Right, and then well, the
hang
thing
on,
is-
hang on. Real quick, we had someone come in the house. Who are you?
Rob.
Welcome, Rob.
Hello there.
And I'll put you up to speed. We jumped right into talking about our faith and higher power. And
HP.
yes. So we just got you walked in. We're talking about bondage of self, and when we're out using, how that affects us. What were you getting into there? Talking about?
Oh well, no, it's a lot of times. I mean, there's been times when you know, I'll give somebody my number or something, and like, you know, I'm just jam packed busy, and you know what I'm saying, like, and I try to get back to them, and I don't, and you know, because you know, my attention span's short, and like, yeah, I got every excuse in the book, you know, and it's nothing personal, you know, and the thing is that like, you know, to a newcomer that's just getting here, of course, that's like the world to them, and you know, that's the hard part is that like, you know, I got to make myself more available, and sometimes, man, like I'm at work, dude, you know what I'm saying, like I
Whatever
can't-
the case is.
you know, like sometimes they're running me ragged at work,
But,
you know,
but
and-
it's also, has it ever been personal?
And see-
no, absolutely not, no.
And see, bondage to self, like me, even, you know, only being like still early in recovery,
Right.
my mind and my flesh always goes to taking it personal.
Right.
It's
You've
like,
always been that way. I mean, I don't mean to say you've always been that way, but
No.
You
you're
always been that
very-
way. I don't mean to say
Even before this relapse, before the last relapse, I looked at it as you were emotional. You took things to heart, and that's a fine line for
well,
people.
Let me say this. This is where that character defect really has to be worked on by a higher power, because no matter how hard I try, you know, due to abandonment issues and just being in the drug world so long, it was a repetitive thing. And now you get this little taste of what real love is, what real relationships are. And it's like, I'm not beginning to understand. I'm still beginning to understand how these relationships operate. So I really gotta, that's where I really gotta fall back and let God do his thing, because my flesh is going to find every justification.
When you say my flesh, what do you define that for us?
When I say my flesh, I'm saying it's going to take it personal to justify why I go out and use. Like,
So you in the physical body.
Rob,
Yes, and not in the spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rob didn't text me back for the gym, say per se.
Right.
And
Right.
then all of a sudden, I want to get all butthurt and be in my mind and just be like in carnal in nature, and not really step aside and be like, not be selfish and be like, well, you know, Rob is busy. He works and he's a sponsor and he's got other people that he has to, you know what I'm saying? And that's how quick my flesh jumps. And once
I see
again,
what
that's
you're
why I mean, when I'm saying flesh, that's what I'm saying is I can get jealous, I can get envious, I can get hatred, I can get angry, I can get
All
you know,
those
Well, if we
Oh,
think of this
yeah.
too, like if we're living in the flesh, we're not living in spirituality.
It's like taking our will
Because
back.
basically your flesh is essentially not your spirit. It's the opposite of your spirit, essentially.
And that's
You know
a
what I mean?
spiritual disease.
So if we're in our flesh, then we're not living spiritually. You know what I'm saying? And if we're spiritually, we can kind of. I mean, and see, here's the thing about spirituality; it can be different for everybody.
Yes.
But for me, I know that like when I'm more spiritually sound, I'm not taking stuff personal, because I'll take stuff personal too. It doesn't matter how many my clean day. That doesn't matter. I'm just as much of an addict as anybody else, and I'm just as close to using as anybody else. You know what I mean? So it's like I have like periods where, you know, everything pisses me off. I
Well,
take
you know
everything
what?
personal.
Paul Birch from Will Work for Recovery, he was just sharing at Saturday Night Live, and like he was super nervous at the beginning. It's funny to watch Paul of all people get nervous. And of course, near the end, with the last 3 minutes, he's like, "Oh, I'm finally not nervous." And the main thing I want you guys to know, when I'm not God conscious, life sucks.
Right.
I'm upset. I'm irritable. I'm discontent. When I'm God conscious, and that for him, that's what that means. Like when he's put
Right.
God, his faith, whatever, because that might look different for everyone. But it's
Absolutely.
exactly what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
when I read it a couple weeks ago, it's like when you're upset or this or that, it's you're in your ego and you're not in your faith.
Right.
Like,
So I just want to comment on that God conscious part, right?
Yes.
So back to the we agnostic part.
the last thing, the main thing I wanted to share about all that, and what you were just saying prior to that is, if that be the case, you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will be conquered, or will conquer. A spiritual experience is the only thing that will help conquer that. Go ahead.
Hey, so check this out, right? I'm like, my mind is always trying to put God in a box, you know, and you know.
What do you mean?
So you know,
To blame him?
Well, no. So I can have a single view of him, right? And like how Rob was talking about a God conscious.
I wasn't. That was him.
It's like we go. Sorry, that's my call sponsor.
okay.
So that's why these rooms are very, very important for me because, of course, I have my view of God whenever I'm intimate with Him. But then I step in the room, and that's where the real God conscious is because everybody is created. And when everybody gathers together, where one or more gather, there is a God conscious in the room. And that may look different from different rooms that we go to. And then that really shows me, like, no matter how much my mind, like, I can go to just one meeting, and then I have that God conscious there, and my mind will produce a reality of that's the only God conscious there is. That's all the bigger that God is until I get to go to another one and experience a whole different consciousness.
We've had multiple people on the show, Bob S. and John B. They both talk about this in length. They're like, if I'm not being willing to hear a message or show up to a meeting open, because he calls all us God with skin. He's like, I see God through you. These rooms I go to, when someone's sharing, I might hear that one thing that could really truly save my life, and I see that God speaking through them. God with skin.
And just because I claim to be a man of faith does not mean that my mind does not put God in a box.
I see.
Okay,
I
and
see
that's
full
where I
circle.
got to be constantly humbled. You know what I'm saying? Constantly humbled because I have this huge pride thing too. It is always just jerking up, and once again in the flesh. I call it in the flesh. Anything that's a character defect or whatever. Yeah,
Taking your will back or ego. That's
Yeah,
when you
yes.
say like in the flesh.
yeah, that's what I'm saying in the flesh because like Rob was saying in the spirit's a whole different atmosphere because then I'm operating in love, gentleness, kindness, peace, patience, long suffering. So my flesh just naturally wants to jump whenever and whenever I even say that, I could be just passing somebody in the hallway, and just because somebody's walking and I think that they're walking like they want to side eye me or like they're looking tough, it's like my flesh is just like, well, and my mind too is like, who's this guy think he is? And that's when I really got to take them thoughts captive.
Bobby, get on the mic. So,
What's up?
So, I asked Jake kind of take us through his spiritual growth throughout this, and we hardly even touched on it. But what has we did have you on the show like a week after you had a major
Spiritual experience,
yes,
yeah.
But would you want to recap that, please? A lot of people, we have newer listeners, different ones. What happened? Just kind of take us through your whole, because now we're on that topic.
Well, here's another
Even
thing
before
too.
it, the way you saw faith, not just religion, because we understand
Well,
two different things there.
So I'd sponsor guys, and they would go to church and they wouldn't work steps, and and I'm like, that can't get you clean, and that was my stance on it, and like there was no way that was possible, and I was wrong because I do sponsor a guy that he went through the church thing, and then that's where his faith lies, and he's still clean today.
And it
He's
worked
got,
for
He's
him.
got 4 years, yeah.
There you go.
And not that I had anything against the church or anything like that. I just didn't think it was possible.
You were shown only one way.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
yep,
Well,
get
I
it.
mean, for me, it was like if I'm in a 12-step program, I'm gonna work the 12 steps. It's
Right.
simple, but
I
it's
get
not the
that.
same for everybody. And
But now, would you say? I know I'm going sideways because I wanted you to tell your story.
Yeah.
Would you say that these experiences, though, are the reason you're able to see that there are more than one way?
oh, absolutely,
Going through
Absolutely.
life and basically being around other. This show's the only reason I realize
Well-
there's more than one way to get clean.
All right, so check this out, man. Like, I didn't know that you could feel God. Never knew that. I never knew about the Holy Spirit. I didn't know about the whole talking about me in the flesh, stuff like that. I didn't know anything about that. I knew that there was a higher power. I knew that it wasn't me, and it was something that I had talked to, and I had seen signs, and I had seen things working out in that way. And I'm like, well, that's God. But I didn't know that like I could feel God consume me. You know what I mean? And that
I would say a spiritual, natural, or what is it?
supernatural
yes.
experience. Yeah.
Yes.
So and that got shown to me, man. It was about last summer, and I had been struggling with some things, and I kind of shared about this on stage at Serenity Village about how I was feeling about a particular situation, that like I was so tired of obsessing about it and even talking about it with friends, that like in my mind I was like, I'm either gonna kill myself or I'm gonna get high. You know what I'm saying? And I would just go to church and just try to bring it to God and leave it with God, and it was like particularly like a week before this had happened, and I remember I was in tears one night, and I was like, God, I just don't want this anymore. I just don't want this anymore, and well, in between there, I ended up getting baptized, right? So, and I didn't really think of it as that big of a deal. I just thought that like, oh, okay, cool, I'm getting baptized, So like, but I also didn't know that like, anything about God's timing either. I was just very, in the dark about the whole God thing, period, and the Holy Spirit and whatnot. So, man, it was like 3 days later.
So you get baptized, and then
It was a year. There was a year after this because I was just looking to Jesus to get rid of this. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I wanted to forgive this person, and I wanted to forgive the situation, and I wanted to keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And I felt that it was a big hindrance. And I mean personally, and a lot of self hatred, came in behind it as well. You know what I'm saying? Like and like so it would be like, well, why can't I be like everybody else? Why can't I just let stuff go? Why can't I just just keep moving, and I can't let things affect me so much? Why, right? So this particular day, I went to my dad's house, and we got into a fight, and I was like, F you, and I got on my motorcycle, and I left. And I went to Serenity Village, man, and I'm thinking about all these things, man, and everything's wrong, and like my life's just a mess, and I'm just pissed off, and like I'm ready to hurt people, because I'm pissed, and I'm tired of people screwing me over, and I'm tired of being hurt, and this and that. So I get there, and the pastor is and he's starting to talk about like, things that you've lost and things in the past and living in fear and anger. And
this was at Serenity Village?
At Serenity Village, yes.
Okay.
And it was like an anger and everything that he said was like exactly what I was going
Like
through.
he was talking to you.
Like he was talking directly to me. You know what I'm saying? And they had said, if you're living in fear, come up to the altar. And me personally, I don't really like to, I'm kind of shy, I'm not, I mean, yeah, I'll come here and speak, and I'll come to a meeting and speak, but I'm not really the type of person that wants to, go put my face out there. I'm not posting workout videos. I don't like that kind of stuff.
That's just not
that's
what
just
you
not
got.
me. I don't like people looking at me, man. You know what I mean?
So for you to go hop up on stage in front of 200 people,
Right,
isn't
so-
typically what you would be doing.
Right, unless I was like absolutely comfortable there, and at this point, I really hadn't, been there a whole lot, and so I'll back up like a month before this, right? I was walking out of a job site, and like I looked up to the sky, and I felt something, and I was like, is that God's love? Is that what God? And I just ignored it, right? And I just went about my day, right? And this was a couple months after that is when this experience happened, and so like I get up there, and I got my head bowed, and I'm just kind of looking around, and the pastor's laying hands on people, and they're falling, and they're hitting the ground,
Wait, elaborate. What do you mean?
laying hands,
No,
like,
a lot of people don't know. So
Well-
when you say he's putting their hands on head, what do you mean? Like that stuff you see on TV?
basically like behind your neck, kind of like behind your ears and whatnot,
like he lays his hands
yeah, lays his hands on you, and then
Yep.
prays right next to
Yep,
me, and
yep.
I it was weird because first, man, they skipped
Didn't he
me.
go to everyone
First,
and
yeah,
right
first
by
he
you?
skipped me, man, and I was like, this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? I was like, man, it's because of all these tattoos. That's the
Right.
first thing I thought too, right? You know what I'm saying? Of
It
course,
worked. I mean, end
right.
of the day, it's working
Well,
the way it's supposed
and then
That's the spirit. That's the spirit
my
falling
friend,
on
Check this out.
my
That's the
friend, my
spirit.
friend came up right next to me, and she said, he's saving the best for last, right? And so and he comes over to me, man, and he lays his hands on me, and and he's praying for me, and all of a sudden I just felt weak, and like and I fell back, man, and I fell out for a minute, like, and when I fell, my hand landed over my heart. And like, and I can remember just laying there for a minute, right? And like, it was almost like it felt like I was being baptized at that moment, and it also felt like that scene in Trainspotting where they shoots the heroin and the guy falls like into the floor, like because he was so comfortable, right? And like that's how I had felt, right? And I just kind of laid there for a minute, and then I got up, and like this lady that I had spoke with a week before was like, "Can I pray for you?" Just like she just popped up, and I'm like, "Yeah." Okay, you know what I'm saying? And like, and I'm just confused of what just happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, that's really a thing, but I didn't even know what was yet to come. You know what I'm saying? So like, afterwards I was just kind of like, wow, that
peeled your wig back.
Yeah,
Say
man,
what
it
is.
really turned me around. It like picked me up, put me on solid ground, and turned me around, and was just like, all right, you're going this way now. You know what I'm saying? And like, and that's what it felt like. But like it it was so weird because like, the next day I went to this new job, this new company, and it was like the best first day of work of my life. You know what I mean? And like, and I felt some joy, right? You know what I mean? And like, and I had the goosebumps like the whole day, and like every time I got around people, they'd go away. But as soon as I turn around and I would go do my own thing, like I would get my skin would flare up, all my hair would stand on edge, and I would get the goosebumps, And I still didn't, I didn't know that was, a Holy Spirit thing. I didn't know much about it, you know what I mean? And I'm telling the guys that I'm having a great day at work, and I'm all positive, and I'm getting off of work, man, and like my hair's all standing up, right, and like I was just so different to me that I took out my phone, right, and I was gonna take a picture of it, and like all of a sudden my skin just went normal, and I was like, okay, I was like, okay, sorry God, and I put my phone away, man, and my hair stood up again, you know what I mean, and it was like
disruption of the Holy Spirit.
So,
man.
So for the next like 2 weeks, like I would wake up and I would just say this person's name, and I would just say, hey, I forgive her, and I forgive him, and I forgive everybody that like all the things that were like killing me inside. It was like I was just in tears, but it was like it wasn't a sad cry, it wasn't an angry cry, it was a cleansing cry, and I could feel that my heart was being cleansed. You know what I mean? And it was like I felt the best that I've ever felt in my entire life.
There's a lot of events that occurred after this in just a mere few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. And when they say when this happens, you're going to be under spiritual attack as well. My car got broken into, my motorcycle got stolen, a whole bunch of things.
But let's just use the motorcycle getting stolen. I love your take on this. Like, you came to meet me at the state fair.
Yeah.
I rode my motorcycle parked in a lot. You rode your motorcycle parked in the spot you parked in the previous year.
Yeah.
Out in the public.
Yep.
And your bike gets stolen, and you call me after, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, dude, this sucks. And how did you see it? Like you said it to me even the day of, when most people be losing their shit. The old you would have been losing your shit probably.
Right.
And how'd you see it?
Well, I just
Divine intervention.
I thought that God was saving me from a piece of gravel in the road, and I had this like, it was almost like a revelation. Is that like God was just saving my life, right? And I felt this, and like it made me at peace with it. And like, to be honest too, like 35 different people posted on their page, and it was posted so far that this guy from Delaware hit me up, and he was like, hey, did you find your bike? You know what I mean? And like there was like so much love that I felt in my heart that like I couldn't even explain like the gratitude of like how
He's
much.
saying 35 page, but we're talking it reached over like 10,000 different avenues on Facebook.
It literally reached the whole nation.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
And and I was just so grateful for that like, people just really just loved me that much to do that. I honestly felt unworthy of that. You know what I mean? And it was really like surreal, man. And it was just like, man, I still can't put it into words, like, how much love that I felt from that situation. And I'd say like, man, ever since then, like things have been so clear and man, and don't get me wrong, like I still have my days, you know what I mean? Like I still have my days, and sometimes I pick up some old resentments, but like, as most of the time, like 98% of the time now, it's like, it's not controlling my everyday. Like that pain that I had as I set it down, because I don't need to carry it any longer. It's heavy, you know what I mean? And it's weighing me down, and I don't need it, and it serves me no purpose. And like, it's not to say that like I'm just this super loving character, but ever since then, like, I've been able to see things so differently. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, if somebody doesn't answer the phone, like, I'm like, all right, well, they probably got something going on. You know what I mean? I'm not taking it personal, because sometimes I do too. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how much time I got. Sometimes I do too. I take a lot of things personal, But now it's just like, I'm just able to be like, okay, whatever is, and, and whatever is going to be is going to be. You know what I'm saying? And I can't do anything about it. And the thing is that like I'm thinking about all these situations, and like my only conclusion is that like, number one, like God's got a plan and those people aren't in it.
So
you know what I mean? And when I think about it like that, man, it's easy. It's easy. It's simple. I'm like, all right, cool, no big deal. I move forward. But when I want to start getting my own mind involved, I'm like, oh, this and that, it's because of this, and I know this, and I'll start spinning a web, because I'm an addict and I have so many just racing thoughts that like, is very common for us addicts. You know what I mean?
And there that's where like the power of the Spirit comes in. I really think about spending time, in prayer, right? And once again to the Holy Spirit. So they're like the work that I can show up and put in the work, right? And once again, this spiritual disease. But let me tell you, like I've been going through so many situations where I know for a fact, if it were a year ago, I would have totally reacted in a whole different way. And so now it's becoming like Rob was saying about his perception changing.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
Like for me now, instead of wanting to lash out in anger, or say if somebody makes me really mad physically, like trying to like beat the crap out of them, I have this love and understand. It's just so spiritual just to be able to step outside of myself and get a understanding of somebody else.
Right.
Because there's all that ego and pride and that self-will that's there. And I'm back to that God aspect. Like what really got me was the fact that I thought it was just God, but you really think about how there's a triangle on the book of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And there's a three part in one, and that's a manifold. And I really think, and I like constantly remind myself,
The wider the base, the higher the point of freedom.
yeah. And it's like, just like whenever you look at it, you cannot look at one perception of it. You got to look at three different parts of it. It takes three different components to operate.
Recovery, unity, and service.
Yes.
Those are the three legacies.
Yeah. And even with service work, getting outside of yourself and helping others. I mean, can we not agree that it brings us so much joy even though sometimes we don't want to do it when we do it, but after we do it, we get such.
Oh yeah, it's like a meet. Like when you talk about going to a meeting, a lot of times I don't feel like going, but after every time you hear the same song and dance at least from me, I'm like, I'm never like I want that hour back. That was garbage. There's been times, sure.
Man.
When Phoenix was being started and I didn't want to show up to a business meeting every week. I didn't want to be at the commitment every week. Sure. There was times it's like, damn, I didn't want to do that. But there's a success story in everything. Look at
what we're doing.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at what it
It's
led
all
to.
stemmed. Everything. Yeah. No, it's a plan.
And look at the people that like have come here since the beginning that like didn't know a whole lot about Narcotics Anonymous. Nonetheless, 2218 or Alano Club. And now look at like how far they've come and where they're at now.
I think
you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
Missy's crushing it with the numbers and stuff, man.
They
she's got it like on point, man. And they're killing it with the literature and like all this other stuff that they're doing. And it's
where
like, wow,
it was
man.
to where it's at. It's
Oh
the growth,
man.
Yeah.
Hey, I still skip business meetings. I'm not gonna lie.
You've been in from day one. Taken together, the steps, tradition, and concepts embody what are known as the three legacies of AA: recovery, unity, and service. Like you said it well too. It's like a manifold. It's the foundation in which things are built, and we can use that in life.
We're 3-part beings too.
Mind, body, soul.
Yeah. Well,
or is it,
it's mind,
Body, and
spirit, and body, because the mind is the soul, the soul is actually the mind, will, and emotions. So it'd be the body, soul, and spirit.
So, what I was gonna say before, when Jacob started talking, I was trying to get to the end here about. I had a premonition the other day, right? And I was in my head about some things, and I was thinking, and I was like, like this isn't what God wants for me. And all of a sudden, I got like a vision of me in a warehouse with a 2-wheeler with a bunch of boxes. That's it. What it means, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it was just something that came to me, and it was like I was really having a bad day. You know what I mean? And I was all in my head, about some of the stuff I was talking to you about earlier. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, I had a vision of me in a warehouse with some boxes. I don't,
and like a dolly or just
yeah, I was moving some boxes. I don't know if it's to start a company with a warehouse, and I'm
or
sure
you moving
I don't
some food.
I don't think it's
anything.
I just don't think it's me going back to working in a warehouse.
Painting.
Wait, well, no, I just don't think that it's me going back to work in a warehouse. It's just that was just a little vision of something, and I don't know what.
Is this the first time since you've had that experience that you had some type of vision like this, or had they been happening more? Or
Things have been happening more.
now, are you talking about, was this a dream in the middle of the night?
No,
or
I was
this-
awake. I was awake, and it came to me as a vision of, I was just at my house, laying in bed, and I was really struggling about some things, and that's just something that just kind of popped up, and I don't know, that's the thing. That's the thing about like, my God, right? Is that like, a lot of times it don't make no sense. You know what I mean? But like, but it does. It doesn't, but it does. It's something that you can't explain. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I've gotten closer in my faith. I went and I did the whole the speaking in tongues thing. That was that was a trip.
Yeah.
But if you would have asked me, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, shit, even 2-3 years ago,
yeah.
it doesn't even matter even when I was using, but it just wasn't, I didn't pray like I do now.
Well, and that's a question I bring up to a lot of people who have experiences like you had.
Yeah.
Or when people turn things all the way around in their life and start seeing things a whole different way. And this is a devil's advocate type question too. It's because I'm in this seat to ask these questions is, were you able to see this vision that you had because of that spiritual experience?
Yeah, I do.
Or were you looking for it?
No, I wasn't looking for it at all.
You know what I'm saying? Were you open now and able to see it because
Absolutely.
of what you went through spiritually?
Absolutely. I don't think that would be happening if it wasn't for that spiritual experience. And to be honest, like I'll tell you what, like I just wanted to not feel that pain anymore. And I didn't know that it was gonna do that. I really didn't.
Really helped.
Oh man, are you kidding me?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, man, like
as a host, I have to ask the dumb question.
right? Yeah, for sure.
But here's the thing: I put the address up. We're talking about Serenity Village Community Church, 4100 Douglas Drive, North in Crystal, Minnesota. We have a lot of people on the show who go there. Tuesday night's recovery meeting night. They do their services on Sunday at 10 in the morning and 6 at night.
Well, they got Bible study. They
got
big book
stuff
meetings,
throughout the
they got a whole
week
bunch
too.
of stuff there, yeah.
That's what I was getting at. I didn't want to dive into this while you were sharing, but the more I have different guests on over this last 3 years, the more I get it. Some people we've had people on here talk about Buddhism works. Rick, who runs the 4-step workshop out of 2218 every Wednesday at 6:30 in the auditorium, he talks about transcendental meditation works for him.
Right.
12 steps work for you. I was a heroin junkie. The 12 steps Alcoholics Anonymous is what worked for me. There is a path to your finish line. How we had a guy, Tony, on the show who said the only thing that'll ever work is the 12 steps Alcoholics Anonymous. In his head, that's what he believes.
Right.
I'm not here to say, hey, you're wrong, Tony, because I've talked to multiple people who got 25, 30 years
Right.
when it wasn't just the 12 steps.
Right.
I get it. If you can find your happiness in life, whatever method it looks like, get after it. I just challenge everyone to go have an experience with a different way of living. Like,
Right.
The way we were living out on the streets, for me, I can say it wasn't the answer.
First, we got to realize that there is a God and it's not you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
I mean, just a suggestion, right? That's the lingo we say is just a suggestion, and that's such a passive aggressive way to say some shit.
Well, yeah.
I'll be the first to say it right now. I say it all the time, passively aggressively.
Shit.
Yeah. I'm like, oh,
But
it's
you
just
know
a
what? And
suggestion.
You're saying there is a
Yeah,
God,
thanks,
it's not
Rob.
you. But I share about it in a different way. Like my head would tell me like, let's say you have 2 kids and a wife, and it's either they're going to die or I've got to die, and you're going to choose. My head's telling me, of course, Rob's going to choose me. My head would say like I was more important than everyone else. That's the way I saw it. Not that I was God, but I made me the higher power of everything. There was nothing more important than me.
What you worship is your God.
What would it be? Like the
Color
world,
football.
I didn't even have to walk. The world moved under my feet. You guys showed up. No, that's how my head, it really did until I got in here and I was told, like, you got to believe in something more than yourself.
Well, and I think that's why the rooms are so powerful, because people begin to, okay, I don't want to say people. So, like, for me, of course, I worship drugs. Drugs were first thing foremost in my life. But then whenever I put the rooms first and foremost in my life, there's these steps that I got to take, and which is to me, it's kind of like a little carrot, just giving you little bits. You know what I'm saying? Until you start to realize, like, oh wow, okay, this is starting to work. Okay, there is a higher power. Okay, and then okay, oh, there is a God conscience, and ultimately it leads to spirituality.
Oh,
For you, that's the path that it turned into.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of funny is that like we never did get to the end of that.
Yeah. What? No, the
the bike?
Yeah, the motorcycle. So you were on one. I wasn't gonna. I was gonna say. So then you're like basically with this.
You know what's
people
funny?
start sharing it on Facebook, and other people share it to their friends, and their friends share it. Before you know it, the way this social media works, like I said, over 10,000 shares with his motorcycle being stolen, and you weren't even tripping about it, really.
No.
You saw it as it was.
God was
it
saving my
happened
life.
because you got your life saved. You were going to get
so,
in an accident.
So check this out, right? So it got found a week later. They found it a week later, and in my head, I was like, this accident that like God was saving me from was going to happen within the next week. Like there was a piece of gravel on a road that I haven't ridden on yet. Next week, you know what I mean? And like that's all I just really thought. And it was just like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And like I got so many calls from like my sister, my brother, and they're like, sorry, bro, like, are you doing okay? And I'm like, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm fine. It's all good, man. And in all actuality, I figured out who actually stole it too. You know what I mean? And I got the address and all that other fun stuff. But why would I need to, put that in a different direction? Whoever that was probably isn't doing very well in life if they got to steal a motorcycle and ride it around the same city they stole it from. You know what I mean? So,
but there's underlines to everything. Like,
yeah.
I got to add something I know you're not going to add. He did get it back a week later, and it had a windshield on it. Dude upgraded his motorcycle.
And I got a free pair of
package.
gloves too. What's funny is that actually, because I told you that it finally just got replaced.
You just got the call.
So St. Paul Harley Davidson has had my bike for 6 months.
Yep.
But they kept it
It's
during the
storage,
winter.
pre-storage,
Yeah, they're gonna.
And what, were you out of a bike?
No, absolutely not, man.
What-
I got
what
a
do you
friend
mean?
I got a friend that let me borrow his bike.
Let you borrow it?
Here,
Just
hang on a
called
second.
and-
Come here.
What, just people called and said, dude, I know you out of a bike, and I know you like riding.
Yeah.
I got a spare bike.
Yeah,
Here, just take it,
My,
dude.
our host here was like, "Hey, man, I got a bike for you."
There's my ego back.
Yeah. He's like,
I have I have two bikes.
So tell me about it. Tell me about it. I love it.
That
Mom.
When I said that you weren't going to share a certain part, you probably thought I was going to talk about that. I was talking about the windshield. I thought that's the funniest part.
Yeah.
Dude gets his bike stolen, gets it back. Now it's got a windshield.
Yeah,
it didn't have
that
a
was
fairing before.
that was pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, things work the way they're supposed to. I got to believe that. I tell my brother this all the time. It's like you could have spent how long being pissed off, angry, mad, screaming at people, getting pissed off. Would it have got your bike back any faster?
No.
Would it have adjusted the outcome any differently?
Matter of fact, it would have kept me further away from it.
Bingo.
You know what I mean? A lot of times it's our actions that keep us away from what what we're really trying to accomplish.
But no, here's the thing. What do you think was the reason you're able to see it that way?
Because of that spiritual experience.
That spiritual experience?
Most definitely.
All
Most
right.
definitely.
Like I see things that way, and I didn't have no spiritual experience like that. I got clean.
Yeah.
That's my reason. Is I was able to sit in these rooms, and I had some older gentlemen in Alcoholics Anonymous who basically, Bob, just breathe, Tim. And you know how many times I want to shove that word down his throat and say breathe on that, but him telling me just breathe, dude. Like he would let me vent and be like, all that anger, where does it get in you right now? You're so frustrated. You're so mad. Like it's doing either. What is it? What can you do about it right now to get any results? Really,
Right.
none. You're just affecting yourself. We dove so deep down this topic right off Jump Street. We usually don't. But Jake, like I said, I know you have a really strong faith. I know you always have. And I know that's got to be. I saw it when you were out running and gunning, making these fucked up videos, whack to the gills. No, it's not a shot at what you did.
No, it's funny.
Oh,
It's
no,
funny.
right.
man.
But that's
Funny
our
stuff,
We all
man.
do it,
But
right?
that's sometimes that guilt of knowing we have this faith and then we're out making these choices that are against what our beliefs are can keep us out longer. It's like not doing a thorough fifth step. It's like
Right.
holding some guilt in. That's the reason we get this shit off our chest or we share is not to have that guilt that keeps us going to bury it away. On the whole faith topic, anything else you guys want to add to it before I move on?
I was just gonna say that, like, once we get clean, there's always room for growth in some area, for instance, I quit smoking, you just want to keep going and just keep being better. So it's like, I mean, yeah, some people I've watched some people get clean and they don't believe in a God and they stay clean.
Yeah.
And that's their story. That's fine. That's I'm not gonna sit there, but I've also seen some people that have done that and have actually started to realize that, wow, there is a God, and I'm really seeing it, and and I think the longer that time goes on in my recovery, like the softer I get to other people's points of views. Because essentially when I first got here, my first couple of years, there was like, nope, you're not doing this. Nope, you're not doing that. Nope, you're not doing this. Nope, and this isn't the way. And nope, 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 nope. And now it's just like, man, I don't, whatever. I'm not gonna, if as long as you're alive and you're bettering your life, man, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? And if you're making it worse and and you don't know it, well, it's time, to figure that out. And then maybe we can get it better for you, with you. You know what I'm saying? Because we're supposed to do this together. So, and that doesn't mean that like I am above anything, that I don't struggle with stuff. I still have issues too. I'm not perfect. So if anybody's listening and I'm on a pedestal, please take me off of it. I just want to let you know that, you know what I mean?
We talked about this earlier, and I'm going to tell you again to reinforce it, and this goes for anyone listening. It's not my fault, and it's not your fault, Rob, on the pedestal people want to put you on.
No, absolutely not.
It's not your responsibility to hold yourself to what other people put standards on you.
Right.
Like I said, someone who's going to show up at meetings, someone who's going to share, someone who sees you making some physical feats. That's if they feel a certain way about it, that's something for them. That's not your worry. It's not your concern. There's a story about a drunken horse thief in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It talks about this drunken horse thief that like he stops drinking, but there's still he's still a horse thief.
Yeah.
And that story is the first time that it made sense to me that drugs and alcohol are but a symptom. It's me that needs to change. Drugs and alcohol weren't the problem. It was the guy's mind, my mind, that was telling me to use these drugs and alcohol. So I can't blame drugs and alcohol. It's the guy who made the choices to do these drugs and alcohol that had the problem. So we got to fix the guy. Getting rid of I don't got to pick up. And picking up is going to be bad. But that is the one who needs to change is me, not the drugs and alcohol.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
but also,
full circle.
I say that to because a lot of times, like if let's say somebody does put me on a pedestal, I do think that it would make them feel more uncomfortable to not share something. You know what I mean? So that's why I say that. You know what I'm saying? Because then if they're like, oh, okay, like I'm a very understanding human being. Just because I've been in the program for 7 years, it doesn't mean that, and number one, all 7 of them years have not been spiritual as well. But I just say that just to say that, like, I'm down here with everybody else too. You know what I mean? So I'm not over there signing big books.
Keith. So we used to give Keith guff about that. Like, will you sign my big book? Matter of fact, congratulations on the 8-piece, Keith.
Yeah.
I know he's celebrating it right now somewhere. Jacob, is there anything you want to add to the faith conversation before we move on?
Find a higher power. I mean, we, like I said, we tend like, even though I had faith, my mind still put me as my higher power. Even whenever I was first coming into recovery, and that's what really kept me from growing, is really thinking I knew it all, that I was the hot shot, like I lived that life and nobody else knew anything. So that's what I got to say about that.
I saint it.
I think I think that's just, is that common though? Like, I think about I don't know. I never went back out after coming in the rooms, and I always heard like Alcoholics Anonymous will wreck your drinking career after you leave here, or NA will wreck your using. And I don't know if it's the guilt or knowing that you could get clean. I don't know. But while out using, it just seemed like I never once thought about anyone else's feelings or anyone else's needs, or am I being selfish to someone else's situation? I never cared. It was I wanted to go get mine,
I think I cared just at face value.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But
Like
is
it
that
there
really
wasn't
even
really any
caring?
depth to it. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
is
man.
that even really?
You know what I mean? Like that was all you're gonna get. It was like, oh man, I'm sorry.
So
My bad.
Here we're gonna hop through. I have another topic, but then I have a question I want to present to both you guys. Jake, I'm gonna present it to you first. We admitted that we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. Share with me what that did for you, or if you, what does the first step mean to you?
Honesty.
This ain't a one-word answer.
Honesty.
I think you better dig deeper than that.
So,
Oh,
okay.
you ain't getting
know,
off that easy,
We
homie.
admitted that we were
Okay.
powerless over our addiction and that our lives had become unmanageable.
So
I guess, what does that
That-
mean to you?
the have become unmanageable part. Even though I quit using, I still have these habits, these character traits that I've used to survive in the streets. You know?
Defects.
Yeah, defects. Such as
You did say
Yeah.
traits, but I
Yeah,
get because
such-
you correlated that to surviving in the streets.
yeah, I
So
mean,
is
They're
that a
assets in the
defect,
streets.
or it's
They're
a
assets in the
character
streets.
asset?
They're assets in the streets and defects in recovery.
yes, and these things are ingrained in me, right?
Oh yeah.
And so, just because the drug is not there does not mean
horse
that.
thief.
Yes, it does not mean that that is still there.
No, it
and that's
does-
where that honesty piece of really taking a
I see what you're
look,
saying.
really taking a honest look at myself, and not saying, "Oh, it's everybody else that's wrong." Because like I believe like at some point I had to come to the realization, like once again, especially with my pride and ego, you know, that I don't know everything, and really taking an honest look and being like, oh man, I haven't even paid bills forever. Like I have not even paid
shit
taxes.
sucks.
You know, I haven't done even met the basic requirements of being a civilian. You know, let alone being a father. Okay.
yeah.
Let alone being a friend.
Yeah.
Let alone being any of that. And it was hard to really realize that my life had become so unmanageable that I wasn't literally able to do nothing because I still am. I have to take these baby
Bro,
steps.
it's only been 6 months.
Yeah, I still have to take these baby steps of learning to do these things, you know. And you know, a lot of that for me is just, you know, really honestly just literally practicing discipline and submitting.
So you brought up something like being a father, bills, paying, friend. We started this show 3 years ago about, and Tad and I would talk about this on air, like about 6 months in. I don't even know if I'm a good friend still. Like, I don't know how to be a friend. I spent 15, 20 plus years of only worrying about me. If I was your friend, air quotes, guys, if I was your friend, it was because you were going to put something on it. You were going to benefit me some way, shape, or form and getting another, which I know is not a real friend. I wasn't going to go die for somebody. I'd say I would, but I never was. So, like, we would share about, like, I don't know how to even be a good friend.
Well, once I started really having gratitude for my relationships. So I'll say this: I had a spiritual experience just before I came up here in a room. Right, somebody came with me. You know, he's been by my side, you know, since for the last couple months, hitting morning meetings with me all the time, just like right by my side. And I started thinking about how I've always told people I was proud of them. But all of a sudden, I felt this warmness, and like my eyes started to water, and I realized that I was so proud of this guy because he has literally kept up with me. Because not many people can keep up with me, you know. And he's been hitting meetings every morning. You know, he's got his daughter, like he's going to see his daughter on the weekends, you know. And he's gotten a sponsor. He's working the steps, and I've got to watch him grow. And I had that spiritual experience of being proud of somebody for the first time and feeling
Genuinely
that
being
yes.
proud.
Yes, and like I
And
said,
not to benefit you.
like I said, back to the steps or the baby steps, because you know,
Yeah.
back to the baby steps, because like even now I look at my relationships, like even my relationship with my daughter right now, my one daughter,
Sorry about that. Yeah.
even my relationship with my one daughter, it's definitely nowhere near where I want it to be. You know, and it's still hard for me to even talk to her because I see so much pain and so much hurt in her eyes.
Yeah. How old is she?
And she's 10. And I don't know, I just don't know how to navigate besides calling her and, you know, trying to communicate with her. And it makes me realize that I'm just now realizing what being proud of somebody is. So what areas am I blocked off in my life that I don't know yet?
But you know what? Like,
You know?
More will be revealed.
Yes.
more
Chapter
will
on
be
that.
revealed. And
Yeah.
here's the thing: 6
It's a
months. I know we
process.
keep
Yeah.
saying, I keep saying 6 months, but dog, it's like how I've heard multiple people come in here for this reason or that reason, and usually the reason I always hear it working is when they finally like, I came in for me. Now I get it. People like I had the courts, my kids, my parents, my girl, my wife, whatever. What I always ended up hearing, or for me, what I know worked was for me. Because a direct result of you being in here for you is your shorty.
Yeah, and honestly,
That's who's going to get the benefit if you really do this for you.
honestly, Tim, I mean, when I was out there, you know, after my first OD, the second and the third, fourth, I intentionally used to die, you know, every time I had somebody shoot me up with fentanyl. And I got to a point where I was like literally yelling at God, telling God, like, why won't you just let me die? Why won't you let me die? Like, you literally, like, you have to get me off these streets because I'm not, you know, I'm not capable. I am not capable of doing it whatsoever. And even coming into, you know, even coming off the drugs, you know, and I think this is a touchy subject that it's not talked about enough, is the suicidal ideations.
Share about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm going
man.
to throw, you know what? I always talk about mental health is real. And if you're struggling,
I share about it all the time.
please reach out. Please. Pain shared. What is it, Rob? You always say it.
Pain shares, pain less.
Pain shared is pain lesson. And look, guys, we understand mental health is real. And maybe I put a hotline number up on the screen. If you know someone who's struggling, or if you're struggling and you can't, you know, I put my number on here. Or if you can't network or find someone to help, or a physician or whatever, utilize this phone number that's on the screen. But please reach out. I say it every week. You're worth it. You're worthy. You deserve your happiness. Fight for yourself.
Yes.
Like it's, and we understand in the horrors of addiction or at the bottom of a bottle, it's not easy to understand that statement, but there is some hope out here. Like, you're worth the fight. No one deserves to go through the hell that some of us have, like Jacob's just sharing about. Some of these people that listen to the show that don't understand what you're sharing about, that's common. A lot of people
like I
sit there on
said,
the other
man,
side of a needle feeling that way.
I had 7 years, and it was just because you get clean doesn't mean that you're going to be happy.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm talking about them days when you really just force that smile on, and people ask if you're all right, and you're just literally just tore up inside. And for me, I believe, like, I really began to learn that this was part of the process, this bending and breaking, because and that process takes time. And the sooner that I understood that it takes time, the more realization I became to realize that there are also other distractions or things that I can grasp for in life to keep me from growing. Soothers, we'll call them.
Okay.
Soothers.
Yep.
You know, like I can go home, play Xbox 360, you know, and, you know, just play Call of Duty all day instead of putting in footwork.
Right.
Instead of putting pen to paper, instead of, you know, doing productive stuff. And once I started beginning to get a balance of my physical health, my mental health, and once again, discipline, it took a lot of discipline to get this in there. you know, because at night I read my scripture, or I put on AA speakers, or, you know, I'm just reading in the book.
Constantly trying to grow.
Yes. And also really learning to these relationships, and I can't say how grateful I am to have them. I have 3 or 4 people that are about 15, and one of them's 30 years in recovery, that I call at least 2 or 3 times a day, you know, just say, hey, what's up, you know? And this really started developing that relationship part of building my self-worth, not my self-esteem,
Self-worth.
my self-worth. And I really began to see my value that I had to offer people.
You know, and this isn't like a shameless plug. This is facts. We had Scott on the show a few weeks back. He's a volunteer here at the front desk. We've had Missy on the show.
Big facts.
And they'll tell you one of the biggest, and it goes hand in hand with what Jacob's sharing, is one of the biggest benefits they get. Missy's got a few years. Scott's got like 30 plus years or something, 20 plus years. The biggest payoff for them is watching someone come in on day 3 or 4 and then seeing them on month 6. Seeing them on a year coming in like, Scott, I just got my year. And they're coming in not as grubby, not as down, not as out. Like watching someone grow, that's part of this thing. That's part of this. Being able to be happy for someone, like
And
genuinely happy for someone else.
Well, and then there's joyful too. You know,
Yeah.
that was the one thing I asked myself what I wanted my recovery to look like when I came in. And the first thing I grasped for was joy. And, you know, like I said, I get that through my intimate relationship with God by hitting my knees, being in prayer.
You
and
found your joy.
Yeah, and learning to study who he is. And now I get a lot of joy out of being able to help others, whether it's cooking dinner, inviting people over for dinner, coffee, you know, and that in return builds into relationships, and that relationships begin to cultivate who I am and breaking down barriers of who I was and really opening up my defects. Because there's times when I say something to somebody that's my friend,
Right.
and I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, I can't believe I just said that. I'm straight, you know, and but because they're able to show me grace, it just cracks my heart and cracks my walls even more to just show love to people.
When you're talking about like this growth of like joy or happiness, and this is something Pastor was talking about, and I quoted him: "Don't confuse movement with progress, because you can run in place and not get anywhere. It's no different than a rocking chair. You might think you're moving, but you're staying in the same spot. Like, don't confuse movement with progress.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of, I think, what like you're sharing about. Like you went from this spot, let's just say, from playing Call of Duty all day and just living,
Well,
existing.
Let me say this: people can have progress and success, but they can still move funny.
Oh.
And I've really learned to like identify that. Another thing with relationships, like I get around certain people, I'll be the first one to stick my fork in the socket plug, you know, I'll be
Right.
like,
Right,
think
no.
you know, and
Yep.
think it's funny. In all actuality, it's just polluting my mind, or, you know, distorting, or just, once again, I'll go back to in the flesh, satisfying my flesh and keeping my brain and my spirit from operating in fullness, you know, and growing. Because I can either be moving forward or I'll be stagnant. If I ain't moving forward, I'm being stagnant. And it's real easy to get comfortable.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you know, I can go to church on Sunday and whatever, have a scheduled week where I'm just doing this, and that, but not doing the real internal work, and it can look good. And that's where that, what was you saying? Movement. And
yeah. And don't confuse movement with progress.
Yeah, because you're
Bro, I'm going to share with you real quick something. I don't know if you even remember this. This is over before Corona. I went to a new church. It was over on, I think, South Minneapolis. I think I went there with Derek, because Derek was living over there with Jeffrey in that spot over in South Minneapolis. And we pull up, and you were there with Josh, tall black Josh.
Yep.
You two, suited up, looking beautiful.
yeah.
You were like a week in, and you stood up at that. You stood up in there, and you talked about some dark shit. You talked about prescriptions, like all what you just came from, some close to death experience. I don't want to get graphic, but you shared about some real dark stuff.
I think that was actually during Corona.
No, it was right before it. You weren't. I don't.
Wait a minute. No, it might have
It was
been
before
during.
Corona.
No,
It was
it might have been
during-
during because I
Because when you
was
were in
locked
Micah House,
upstairs. Yeah,
when
I
you were
was-
in Micah House
I
with
was
Josh, because
upstairs.
I sponsored Josh during
Yep.
that time. That's why.
Yeah,
It was.
because
It
I
was
was
like beginning.
That's when I got Corona and had
Yeah.
to spend all my time upstairs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna almost have to disagree with both of you. I'm gonna
No.
pull pictures after show you guys. I know it was because it was. It
Well, because he was
doesn't-
with
it doesn't
Josh, he was
matter.
at Micah House.
You know what?
So-
Timelines
Hey,
right now don't
hey.
matter.
Yeah.
We ain't pulling facts,
Check the
guys.
flesh. Check the flesh.
All right, listen, we're gonna talk about our past real quick. The wreckage of our past. Wow, that sounds familiar.
Might have read about it, huh?
Your past. No, I'm gonna read something about it. But how do you see your past? About it defining who you are today. How important it is. Do we got to bury it? Talk to me about your view on people's past and the struggles people face over their past when they come into these rooms.
What, people or me?
Your view on it.
My view of the past?
Like, how important is it? How overcoming it or incorporating it? What? I want your view.
Well, essentially, you should be letting it go. But if you're like me, you hang on to it for far too long. You know what I mean? Until the point where spiritually you're dead, emotionally you're dead, and you just want to kill yourself. So it's essentially the same thing as getting high. I think that, like, you should be able to let it go. And that's why I've struggled so much on not letting stuff go, because I think that, like, I need to let it go. Your past don't define you.
All right. How important is your past to who you are today? And then I'm going to read something that I can't.
Well, since we're in recovery and we're on a podcast about recovery, my past needed to be the way it was in order for me to get here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I will say this: hanging on to it does it makes you stagnant on your growth.
On your growth?
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a prime example.
It's
you know?
anybody's growth.
Well, like clearing the wreckage of your past is important to do.
Well, of course.
Get close on the mic. Who are you?
I'm Stevie. I've been
Welcome, Stevie.
thank you.
Get right up close on this.
Who's
There you
Eric?
go. All right. What's your views on on what I just asked?
I've been arrested 102 times. I got 22 felonies, or 12 felonies, 22 years behind bars, 4 bits, and 24 treatments. A lot of shame and guilt and crap that goes with that. Now, I can sit in that shame and that guilt and not do nothing about it and try to get jobs and all this other stuff that I'm doing today, and knock me down because I can't get through that past, or I can utilize it, and that's why I'm going to an navigating school and a PRSC and a recovery coach to share my experiences and strengths and hopes that you can get through this today. Even though whatever wreckage I got, I've lost everything because of it, but today I've taken that now, and the Lord for me has given me a blessing to where I can use this now today and share this with other people that are still struggling. Now, it ain't who I am, it ain't who I be, it doesn't define me, it's not who I become any longer, but I have to keep that in check, you know what I mean? I have to keep that in check, and I have to keep showing up to these meetings to talk about this stuff, man, because I can go down that rabbit hole real quick. That's my experience on that one, but...
All right. So real quick, I want to read something, and I spent a lot of time.
Trying to learn to read.
Way up.
He's gonna mute this dude.
No, I wrote this down because it was almost like you're saying, like some vision or some someone we were talking about our past, and I thought about it. We all have our crosses to bear. What's more, we wouldn't trade ours for someone else's. We think we would. If you walk into a room, 10 people walk in, laid their crosses out on the table, everyone would walk out with their same crosses they walked in with. Okay? I suppose it's because we all get used to our own crosses. But I think even more that because our crosses define who we have become, not who we are, but who we have become, how we wrestle with our problems, how we battle our demons. And on the other hand, it also is what builds character. My past doesn't define who I am today, but it makes me who I am. It made me who I am today. The past I have. And like you said, being that we're in recovery, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for my past. I can't bury it and close the door on it. This is just me. There's no right answer amongst the four of us sharing about it. You get 10 pastors reading 10 of the same verses, you're going to get 10 different definitions. Like I say, there's no right or wrong answer. It's your view on it. From my view, that's what it is. I can't close the door on my past. I can't. It defines who I am, but I need to clear the wreckage of that. That's part of doing our amends. That's part of moving forward in life. But it also, it helps me battle the demons that show up today, because my demons don't show up in a needle anymore. They don't.
Yeah.
They show up when when a bill arrives that I don't want to pay. When the IRS man's calling, or the girlfriend's got a problem and I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
Like, it just shows up in different forms, but because of the past I've had, I know how to walk through life today because of what I've been through yesterday. I was pretty proud of that.
He's like, I've been thinking about that one all day.
I have been. I don't know if it was just today, but go ahead.
Like, one of the, I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, one of the crosses that I have to bear, right, is losing 3 of my kids throughout my addiction. And to wake up every day as a father and know that I won't get those years back, those opportunities back. Whenever I, come into treatment multiple times, like, I would have this delusionment that and I don't want to say delusionment, but
I do like that word, delusionment.
Yes, there's a lot of delusionment I have whenever I come in, for sure. But there's just things that I wasn't ready for yet, because I still have my other daughter in my life. And whenever I even first came into treatment, like, I knew that was not something that I would be able to touch on right away, due to the fact that, I've shown her inconsistency, throughout my use, and that I didn't want to put her through turmoil again. Right. And that's just like my relationship with my father. I realized that what I'm trying to say is there's things that we do in our past that we're still going to have repercussions for.
Oh, yeah.
Until we're ready.
Clearing the wreckage of your past means
Yes.
doing what you're doing today.
Yes,
you're
this
6
is
months, bro. It might take you 2 years to be able to show up for your daughter properly.
And this is going to take time. And see, there's situations that I really realize. Once again, I jump in the flesh and I try to force outside of God's timing.
Taking your will back.
Yes, and I've come very aware that for me, I'm able to want to force things. But whenever I step back and just let God do his thing, that's whenever those opportunities arise, because there's a bending and a breaking process that happens to be able to mold you, to build the character. That way, whenever you get certain things, that you're able to sustain them. Because if you go out and grasp at certain things before you're able to maintain the character to be able to make these things flourish, to touch something and have it flourish, you're just going to ruin it all again.
That's why you stay after it. You keep.
Yes.
You can't. I think Rob said you can't stay clean on yesterday's shower.
And we can't let our past define who we are today, because we're constantly, if we're working the steps, we're constantly
growing.
transforming.
You're
We're
growing.
constantly
Yeah.
growing, and these things will come, like I said again, like, even the blessings I have in my life today, the miracles that are happening in my life, because I see them, especially in my relationships with people. I have so much gratitude for my relationships. It blows me away how much gratitude I have, for them. And I would have never had that before, and I consider these miracles because I know who I used to be and how I used to think of people. And I realize how my mind works.
So, okay, here we go. I think that was a good topic. Tim, good job.
Good job, Tim.
We've been on some heavy. Oh, I took you guys on. I got you on mute. I'm
Ah,
sorry. There you go.
was
Rob,
on mute, you prick.
You're back. You're back. You're back. You're all back. I took you guys off mute. So yeah, we went heavy. We went heavy for an hour and a half there. So now we're gonna talk about some physical stuff. We're gonna talk about physical stuff because I know Jake's got a lot of
Guess
things.
what, guys? I don't gotta answer the question.
Yeah, you do. You're part of this too.
Now the one from before that only Jacob answered.
Rob's
You know what? Nope. That means you need to answer it.
Rob's diet's chicken and broccoli.
Here we go. I'm gonna ask
And
Stevie
rice.
this real quick.
Chicken broccoli.
All right,
rice.
we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction and alcohol, and that our lives have become unmanageable. What's that mean to you?
Well, I mean, I'm totally out of control. You know what I mean? I mean, when it comes down to my addiction, whatever you had, I was coming through like that 510 to get it. I was out of control, and today, I had to, I sometimes when things go my way today and things are going good, I don't know how to handle them. I don't know how to maintain them. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how to feel yet. You know what I mean? And even with me showing up to the meetings and doing my work and volunteering at the church and doing all these things that I'm doing, having a purpose today again in life, it's not enough. My mom's still dying. And
Right.
I still get rejected. I still got to explain that mistake versus the lifestyle, and it's a struggle. And I can easily go down the rabbit holes, and I can easily. It's a slippery slope, but I still thinking that I'm okay again. I get all these miracles and these blessings come my way, but I don't know how to handle them. I don't know what success is. Sometimes. So, but admitted we were powerless, we're alcohol, life manageable. It's hard because I still want to be me. I still want to be accepted. I still want to be loved. You know what I mean? And so it is what it is. There,
Right.
But it's a daily routine for me to get to my knees.
Daily reprieve. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Tim.
Step one says that we.
Hi, Tim.
That we were powerless over our.
Sure were.
You know what, Rob? I'll mute the shit out of you in a heartbeat, dog.
And then I don't
What
have to
is
answer
the
the question.
Answer it for me. What does it mean to you, and how's that been applied in your life?
Well, for me, man, when I got here, right, I didn't think I really had power over my addiction, and I don't think I really had a life that was manageable. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's I mean, granted, you gotta come to the realization that like you're an addict or you're an alcoholic, whatever you're gonna label. But for me, man, like working an actual first step was like I had to do that over other stuff because like for me it was like I scrambled it, right? Because like I knew that I didn't have any power over drugs or alcohol. Same thing, alcohol's a drug. And that my life had became unmanageable, but like that was my life. Like the unmanageable was life. You know what I'm saying? So I never had a life to manage. You know what I mean? And now it's like I admitted I'm powerless over, sex or, women or, like the list goes on and on because like anything that I could put there is going to take me away from where I need to be,
What a slap in the face, though, to realize that you're not powerless. I mean, to admit we were powerless over alcohol and life become unmanageable, and to realize that we weren't the shit, back in the day, as much as we thought we were.
Yeah.
That's what I hear a lot of people say. That second part is what the hardest for them to come to terms with, like unmanageable. It's like saying I couldn't do it or I was weak, but I know today hell yeah I was unmanageable.
Yeah, that's life wasn't.
I was playing. I told you this. I thought I was a doctor with needles and shit. Like I was. Hell yeah, I was unmanageable.
Yeah, that's all it was
mean,
unmanageable. There was never no
no
manageable.
managing, no.
See, because I started using it at such a young age that like it was never manageable. So I didn't really even know what
You didn't know
manageable
what
was.
Yeah, right. Right.
And then not even that. Like I had to learn what life was, just like Jacob was talking about. Being an actual, civilian. Having a bank account, building your credit, having a valid driver's license. I mean, I had a valid driver's license, that was, but like, building my credit, I didn't care. And like, and I still struggle with paying bills, cause essentially, I usually try to pay them on like the last day they're due because I don't want to pay them. And sometimes, matter of fact, I don't even have up-to-date tabs on my car. Let's be real honest here real quick, man. And like, you know what I mean? Like it was, a January thing and, now it's March and, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just ride it out until I get pulled over and get a ticket for it. And then I'll pay the ticket and then realized that I did the
This
same
is
thing
not
last
the
year.
example, guys.
Nope, definitely not. I'm just being honest here. Yeah.
Hey, and we
Yeah.
know that's the cornerstone. One of them.
So let me work a first step on this here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But my credit's getting better. Huh?
tit for tat. Is that what
Yeah, man. Hey, progress, not perfection. I love that one. Whoever came up with that,
That's
dude,
a cop out on
I owe
this
them
one.
a hug,
Cop
man.
out
You know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
And what our levels of sickness vary, and our rates of recovery also vary.
Yeah, you can't
know?
stay clean on yesterday's shower, Rob.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, boys.
Yep.
So, Jacob, I want to hear about what's going on with you in this whole this boxing world and this MMA crap and all. What have you been up to, man? We've been seeing videos on the web and like you, this young Muhammad Ali, or what I call you, young Tyson. I called you something the other day, but you're like 30-0 and
Yeah, well, you know, honestly, I'm probably I've been thinking about just doing this last fight and taking a break for a few months.
what do you? I know we know what's going on. The audience does. What have you been doing?
Yeah, just getting in the ring, man.
Like what? Like come on, break it open, crack the egg.
You know, undefeated in the boxing and wrestling. You know, it has taught me a lot about unity, and it's crazy how much finding something that you love doing and enjoy doing can in return teach you about recovery.
More than just getting physically in shape.
Yeah. More than just getting physically in shape. You know, just, you know, like I said, I think the last time, you know, my first round, first match, whatever, you know, I just wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. You know, but then that was by the second round. Third round, my mind's just like hit the floor. Like, why are you even doing this? Like, hit the floor. And then I just, you know, I thought about people in addiction and recovery, and it just wasn't me in the ring. And because it takes spirit, it takes heart to fight, you know. And that really showed me the unity, like, even though I was in there, how important it was to be in unity.
You like took all this
Unity.
recovery thing.
Yeah. And then I think last month I did a wrestling, 2 wrestling matches. First guy I pinned out in 1:30, and the second guy, he actually wrestled for the U.S. national teams for the Olympics.
And wasn't this like what the same night or
Yeah,
you had to
2 in
pay,
a row,
someone
yeah.
called in sick.
I
or
was,
something?
you know, I was just going there just to, you know, have some fun, help the guy out to the
Maniac, bro.
gym. Yeah, and so the gym owner was like really proud. He was like, "Yeah, now you're undefeated on both their shows," and I'm like, "Oh, cool, yeah." You know, and it's honestly helped me be very humble. You know, because I mean, you guys know me. I used to have quite a bit of a temper. You know, ripping doors off of treatment centers and you know, ready to go with somebody.
Right.
And now I'm just like, you know, now that I know I'm capable, I don't know. I just had to remind myself, I guess, that, you know, I still had it, you know?
Right.
And so now it's really helped me be humble because I don't walk, I'd like to believe at times I don't walk in. And I just want to say for this aspect of being the baddest dude, being able, because it doesn't matter to me anymore, you know? Because I know it takes more courage and more strength to love somebody
Then to beat him up.
than to beat them
Right.
up. It just
But now this is a view that has changed
Yes.
tenfold for you.
yeah, and like my ego has totally changed on that too, because like I don't know, I've been put in a few situations where I'm just like, you know, somebody's popped off at the gums, and I'm just like, once again, it's my perception now is like, oh, they don't know no better, so. You know what I'm saying?
You're able to see it from a whole other angle.
They don't know that I'm running 3 miles a day,
Right.
you know, beating pads and just, you know, ready to go.
You can see it from a whole other angle.
Yeah, that I'm trained to go. So, and I think about that, and I apply that into my recovery also because
These hands are registered
Well,
lethal weapon.
yeah, no. There's and there's times I see people in recovery and I see them struggling, and I try to remember that they don't know, just like I don't know.
No.
Just
you're-
like I don't know, because
Right.
like the more I realize that I know, the more I realize the less I
you
know.
don't know.
Yeah, it's insane. It's just insane. Well, it's sane that whenever you really realize that you know, you think you know, but then you're just like, no, I don't know. Okay, and it's cool because I'm able to be aware of that. And not only that, just like throughout all this, it's really helped develop my relationships too of what type of people I want around me. Because let me tell you,
That's the last question I had for you was about relationships.
yeah, well, let me tell you, you can look at somebody and whenever they're like, oh, yeah, so when's your next fight? And you could just see doubt in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You could see doubt in their eyes. And
But now, today,
And
does
that-
that bug you? Does that get under your skin?
it still does a little bit because some of it's from people that are close to me.
Right.
And I think that they're thinking that I'm the old person that I used to be. So they, you know,
Like, want to see you get whipped?
yes, they want to
see
see
what
me
you're
get
saying.
humbled real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm already
But
humbled.
through this process, you've
I
been
don't-
getting humble.
Yeah, I just see, even going into this next fight, I don't care whether I win or lose because I already won. Because I was shown everything that I was shown, and I know that I could do what I want to do
Right.
into life.
So, realistically, a good statement is like, you could care less if you ever hop in that ring again or not.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I know that, you know, especially through the wrestling, like, the one thing I wanted to do was the MMA, but it was just the promoter wasn't
old are
trying
you?
to. I'm 37. But, you know, and because, like, at first they were real worried about my grappling game. And I tried telling them, I'm like, dude, I grew up in the sticks, man, you know. And so whenever they thought I was going into this wrestling thing, like, I totally blew them away because, like, the first guy was the only guy to get somebody out in 1:30. And the second guy, who was an Olympic national wrestler, he got hurt.
Right.
You know, I hurt him and he gave up, you know. And that's without no training, nothing. But I just, like I said, where I came from, you know, it's
Right.
just,
That's how you
that's
grew-
what, yeah, that's what we did. I mean, I played in Cold Creeks, you know, see, that's the pride coming out right there. You know what I'm saying? I was a
It's
country
ego.
boy. Yeah, ego coming out. But no,
I have to ask
honestly,
a question though, when I was boxing, you know, like today, you know, my love for the Lord and the forgiveness part of things. So like when you're in that ring, can you reel it back in? Is it easy for you to reel back in the fight, I guess, and still have compassion for this guy that you just whipped up on? You know what I mean? Separate it, yeah.
whenever I went in there, I had the utmost respect for fighters. I did not, you know, I didn't trash talk them or nothing. You know, I don't. I respect anybody who does that, who steps into the sport. You know,
Yep, that makes sense.
especially to, you know, step in the ring with me.
Yeah, right.
I'm just like, you know. So I have mad respect for him, and I have no need to trash talk anybody because it's a sport. And from the
Right.
way I view it, it's unsportsmanlike conduct, which I don't see why a lot of these fights they let people, you know, pop off at the gums, you know, because other people start feeding off of it. It's kind of like,
Well,
If you
honestly,
bring-
that's part of, like, that's
Yeah.
the bravada of
Well,
getting
yeah.
the viewership, like,
Well,
in this
eh,
modern
yeah.
day and age of the
but,
social
yeah,
media shit.
And
all
once
that.
again, that's a fleshy thing for
Right.
me, you know, and that's
Right.
kind of another reason I dropped out of the MMA thing because there was just a lot of the drug scene going on, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying, and liquor and this and that. But where I box at now, I don't have to, you know, there's no alcohol or none of that, so it's not a problem
Right, it's
for
clean.
me. Yeah, and so. I don't know. Like I said, I know that I got this because I just got my job interview. I secured a job today.
Congratulations.
And I really realized that I'm going to have to really mix up, like, my whole schedule of everything is going to be mixed up again.
Yeah, working's for suckers.
Well, shut up.
Yeah.
He'd be back to work in the
No.
20th. Jerk.
No, when you're not working, I mean, yeah, when you get a job, you're like, yeah, it's
Man, you were just telling me today,
definitely
I
congrats.
can't wait to
No,
get
I know.
back to work.
I know. I was getting there. I was getting there.
all right, sorry.
I was gonna say that. You
All
know what I
right,
mean?
all right.
But like, you know,
Soldier Thunder. I'm sorry.
about 2 months. You know, about 2 months off.
But you're
and-
also in a job where layoffs are part of the job.
yeah.
Like, you
But
get
congratulations, Jacob. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, after graduating treatment and then really, so like I've even had like, I don't know, I graduated a week ago. So like I did not waste no time whatsoever. I've been hitting my morning meetings.
Congratulations.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I have sound effects.
I couldn't have done it without you guys, you know. Like, Rob, I'm very grateful to have you in my life, man. I remember just like, I don't know, just your presence is inspiring. You know,
And let me share
let
something.
me finish commenting you.
I was actually gonna give you some praise there too.
Don't
so.
reject it, brother. Just
No, I
take it
wasn't-
in. Take
I
it in.
wasn't. Yeah, for
No,
sure.
honestly, man, you've been a huge inspiration, man, and I think about you all the time, and just to watch, you know, your spirituality change too has been so huge because I get to watch the spiritual awakening in the 12 steps. I mean, because like honestly, to me, in my belief, once you hit that 12th step, it's all about you know, following Christ. You know.
Yeah.
And it's just been cool just watching you and always be here in the rooms and be stable, like steady in the rooms and consistent, you know. And so like seeing you really helped me realize what type of people I want in my life, you know, because I knew like for you too, Tim, like coming back after the last relapse, that's when I began to understand that it takes time to, you know, build trust. It takes time to build all the necessities to become a friend, or let alone be, you know, just crossing paths with somebody, but to have a friend, you know. 'Cause
Thank
like,
you.
You know, and
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
so that's what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
What I was also gonna say, man, is that yeah, you definitely surprised me this time around. You know, you know, when he first got sober, he was like, "Will you sponsor me?" And I said, "No." You know what I mean? I was like, "No," because you never listen. You know, and this time around, I was wrong. You know, I've seen you do some things that you don't see people that are, you know, typically that have 5 months, 6 months do. You know what I mean? Because you know that it's good for you and it's the right thing to do. And like that literally shut me up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
when
there's a column about you that's different.
yeah, when you were like, "Hey, you know, I'm not gonna be stuck spiritually. I want to grow, so I'm gonna, you know, move forward with this relationship that I'm involved in, you know, and like just doing that alone at that amount of clean time is not something that you see people do regularly." You know what I mean? And in order to do that, I was like, once you told me that, I was like, all right, now this dude's really serious. You know what I mean? And then I've been watching you, you know, and everywhere that you've been going on Facebook and all that stuff too. And I'm like, yeah, man,
Like, I see you.
that's awesome. You know, and that's the type of stuff that like that keeps us clean. You know what I mean? And that's the type of stuff that like, you know, like for instance, the people that we've seen coming in here, and you were one of the first ones, you know, when we
Yep.
first started Phoenix NA. You know what I mean? And when it was like, I mean, look where you're at now, and you know, I mean, look where everybody else is.
Yeah.
You know, and the crazy part about recovery is that like, I really forget sometimes that like really how lucky I am, because I definitely should not be here. You know what I mean? And like, you know, as all of us sitting here, you know what I mean? And I was thinking about people, and I was just telling Stevie earlier about, you know, like some old childhood friends. One of them's got cirrhosis of the liver right now. And, you know, we're only 38. You know what I mean? Like, we're not that old. And those are the people that were judging me and that were better than me. And you know, and Rob did this and Rob did that. And, I mean, not to, like, brag or boast or anything, but it just blows my mind. It's like, wow, man.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is that, like, they're probably not going to get it. I mean, I hope they do. Don't get me wrong. But, like, people get so stuck in their ways that, like, I'm not going to quit drinking. The dude, you got cirrhosis of the liver. It's not everything else in life, man. Like, you might give yourself a chance if you stop.
Yeah.
You know what
Well,
I
we
mean?
saw that with a close friend who got diagnosed with some cancer, and it's like, bro, there could be a chance to live. And
Yeah.
he decided not to even give the treatments a chance. Like,
Right.
I don't know why it correlated that with what you're saying, but I understand what you're saying.
The older I get, the more precious I realize that life is.
Shit.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Someone just asked me about my birthday. She's like, "What's your favorite birthday?" Like, something about it, because it was on Thursday and I was at someone's
Yeah.
house, and I like came. Was that you? I was telling you on the phone today.
Yeah,
about? I was
yeah.
like, I this realization, like, bro, every day is my birthday.
Yeah.
Every day is really a blessing. I'm fucking blessed.
Right.
I don't like saying that I should be dead. We all know what we did. If you sitting
Right.
in these rooms of NA, for the most part, you were on death's door, or you could have been, or you should have been, or blah blah blah. We've all buried how many people,
Yeah.
family, friends, and that's the jails, institutions, or deaths. No bullshit. That's no bullshit. We see it firsthand. When you ask me like favorite day or birthday, every day is a birthday for me. Every day it's a miracle. Like, real talk. This dude was talking about if I offered you $1 million, would you take it? They were like, hell yeah. He was like, but if you couldn't wake up tomorrow, would you still take it? They're like, hell no. He's like, what about for 10 million? They're like, hell no. He was like, okay, so you're telling me like you're waking up tomorrow is worth more than 10 million. Why wouldn't you be that grateful every day you wake up then? You're telling me $10 million was worth waking up. You see where I'm going with this? Like, every day is a miracle. It's a blessing.
So let me say this. I went through this experience last week where I think I was telling you about it, Rob. I become grateful for my trials and tribulations because I really realized that they built patience. Now being able to sit in that patience, you can find something every day that is worth living for. To be grateful
Right.
for. As long as you're not clouded by your
As
own.
long as you're not shut off, you're willing,
Yeah.
you're open-minded. Yes.
Yeah, it could be the smallest thing ever, like a protein shake, man. Okay.
All right. Hey, sorry, cutting everyone off here. We're going to real quick talk about some things, and then we're going to start wrapping up on the show. I muted you guys all. So we got Iggy Paz in the house, Minnesota young people in recovery. They did their New Year's party here, and it's such a blast here at 2218. They rented out the facility to do their mini prom. That's young people at heart. You don't have to be 13 years old. It's young people at heart that are welcome to come to this. And this is it's called MNY prom. It's young people in recovery, but all are welcome. So what I'm saying is, like, if you've got, if there's you have children that are, out, you're worried about situations, or some young people looking for a safe, clean, fun place to go, have them come down here, 2218 March. What am I talking about? That's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we've got this big bash going on. It's mini prom. It's called A Sinking Ship. March 11th here at 2218 First Avenue South. There's some limited edition merchandise that you can come purchase. It's a suggested $10 donation. It is a drug and alcohol free event. So come on, come all. It's the dance tomorrow night. It's going to be a blast. And on that same note, tomorrow night, we've also got Jane cooking it up in the kitchen. As always, tomorrow she's a beast in that kitchen. It's tomorrow night. It's kind of an a la carte thing. We got slices of pizza for $1 because this will be going on during the dance too. So, dollar slices of pizza, dollar salads. We got garlic bread for $1. We got cake, ice cream. We got cookies. We got chips, chili and cheese. We got crackers and cheese plates. We got soda, water, coffee, hot chocolate, all sorts of stuff. And then on Sunday, we got the pancake breakfast. Come on down. It's $7. You get a couple pancakes, couple pieces of bacon, couple pieces of sausage, coffee, juice, water. It's a great breakfast. So come on down and support this club for those things. And like every year, we've got the Ride for Recovery coming up. I was telling you guys earlier, I spoke with Dan J. He's going to come hop on the show next week for a few minutes, and then we'll have him on maybe twice next month for a few minutes each show, and then we're going to have his presence and more other people. I was talking to the Millers. They're going to both come on. We're going to get people that are involved with the ride that are going to come on the show. And like I was telling you guys a month ago, that we've now got access to do some call-ins. So we're going to be reaching out to some other people that are involved with the Ride for Recovery. And so you guys can hear about it. You don't have to be a motorcycle rider to enjoy on this day. It's a sober fundraiser for 2218 Alano Society of Minneapolis. This is the world's longest continually running Alano. Like I said, in the world. That's a huge statement, man. 80 plus years. This is the 5th annual. It's an all-day music jam and event. Saturday, June 24th. Join us and support to help keep these doors open. We started off down at St. Paul Harley at 8 a.m. I'll be doing the show from the St. Paul Harley. And like I said, I own a couple bikes. I'm not going on the ride. I got some obligations to be part of that day's events. So I'm going to be going there, and I'll be coming back to the club. What I'm getting at is you don't have to ride a motorcycle to have fun that day. I bring my whole family down. I'm the only guy who has a bike in my family. Brad B is going to be cooking breakfast, a pancake breakfast, usually with some sausage, or I'm not sure what he's choosing to do with that one. $5 donation for that breakfast. Kickstands up at 10. Then they all pull in here. That's something else I want to share about is if you've never been to an event where 100 plus motorcycles pulling at once, it's a sight. So come check that out. Be part of that. They all pull in here around noon. Everything kicks off. Music is starting to bang off at noon. We got the silent auction opening up at 1. We got Happy Wednesday at 3 p.m. We got Vic on the barbecue at 5 p.m. Zoo Factor takes the stage at 5 p.m. We got featured speakers starting at 6:30. The All-Star Jam at 8:30. Silent auction, raffle, 50/50s, drawings, all sorts of stuff, guys. Admission wristbands are $20 in advance, $25 day of. If you want to get a wristband, come talk to me. Come to the front desk. Dan will come on the show next week and talk about all that stuff as well. There will be a dunk take in there somewhere too. We got a bunch of other events that we'll bring up next week about that. Tons of stuff happening, tons of stuff. And as always, I always talk to you guys about this. If you're struggling, please reach out. You're worth the fight. You deserve your happiness. I put the hotline on the screen. We talked about some stuff today that we know mental health's real. If you're having some thoughts, please reach out. Use this hotline. Reach out to one of us. Use this platform to network. Like I said, you're worth the fight. You deserve your happiness. Come down and be part of 2218. If you want to become one of the volunteers at the front, or if you want to be one of the people that help around this club, we would like your help. We need your help. So please come on down. If you're looking to get some hours, some community service hours taken care of, come on down. We can accommodate that as well. But definitely become a member of this club too. You're seeing these pictures flash through. These are pictures of the club. It's a society club. There's tons of benefits to becoming a member of this club. And I know that they've got something going on right now that if you do like 6 months in advance of your dues, you get this nice commemorative coin. There's all sorts of benefits. So Dan's going to come on and talk about that as well, membership and becoming a member of this club. Other than that, we're back to your regularly scheduled program. We got a few minutes left. We're going to get into gratitude stuff. Headphones on, mutes off. Boys.
Check 1, 2.
So, Stevie, I don't know how much you know about the show or if you ever heard it or blah, blah, blah. What we do is the name of this show is Attitude for Gratitude. So we usually wrap it up with asking each other, what are you grateful for today, man? Right into the mic.
I'm grateful for God today, and my addiction took me out. I lost my identity. I had no purpose, and I think today God is really a big part of my factor. And you guys here, I can be myself without feeling abnormal any longer. You know what I mean? I come in these doors just bad, good, bad, and ugly, and 102 arrests and all, and still be okay. So if I can do it, I can do it.
Hell yeah! Thanks, Stevie, and thanks for coming, man. I appreciate you. Hey, buddy. Rob, what are you grateful for today?
Oh.
Huh? How you like that?
There's a lot.
Talk to me about it.
My relationship with God, number one. Number two, just the opportunities that I've had in life. I'm very fortunate and blessed, and I'm extremely grateful for forgiveness.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. Hey, Jake, what are you grateful for?
The pain that's inside the process.
The pain. Oh, I wish we had more time. I'd say, what do you mean the pain inside? As a good host, like I am, I dig into that and make you speak on it.
Yeah, the pain
But
inside the
pain
process.
inside the process.
Yes, sir.
All right. What else are you grateful for?
My relationships, for sure. I have some beautiful men and women in my life that, I value and that I don't want to let down. For once, I don't want to let somebody else down. So.
Okay.
Tim, what are you grateful for?
Bobby. I'm grateful for friends who come up on money that I can borrow from. No, I'm joking. Hey guys,
Let
listen.
me get a 20.
I'm grateful for people who don't co-sign my shit. I am, and I'm elaborate.
There you go.
I spent a lot of time, and I think a lot of us do, is figuring out who we can call and tell our boohoo stories to that'll pat us on the back and say it'll be okay, or, oh, I get it, I understand, they did you dirty, Tim. I surround myself today with people who don't do that, and they hold me accountable to the things I say, the things I do, which help me grow, which help me become a better man and a better friend, better boyfriend, better son, better brother. It's these things that keep me going. And I'm grateful for all of you, everyone who listens, who posts questions, who posts statements and things. Becky, I really appreciate you. Sammy, Sue, everyone. I don't want to forget people. I had a lot of sorry about the questions I didn't get to. I have 4 questions that people texted me. Jamie,
Slipping,
I
Tim.
appreciate you. Pops, Kyle, Tom, Elena. Elena says, "Hey, Bubba." Hey,
Hi,
Bubba. We had a lot of people that checked in tonight. A lot of people that were asking questions. Someone that posted the wrong birthday. I'm 34 years old, not 44. So I'm really grateful for everyone that supports the show that have been along the way. Cheryl, I appreciate you. Thank you for always keeping me informed and updated on things. I forget tons of people every week, but I'm grateful for this recovery community, the support that we have. And we talked a lot about Serenity Village tonight.
Amen.
We talked about Rob having an experience there. We talked about Pastor who's really helped out in a lot of our lives. And I want to share one real quick story about what made me feel good. I was never a crackhead. That was something I never.
Yeah, I was never a
Like,
drug-
this is how I opened
I
my
love
story. No,
crack.
I was a heroin addict. I never did that. Crack was for losers. No, but I wasn't.
Heroin's
I
okay,
looked at
not
crack as whatever. Like, I did like good drugs. But so I walk into Serenity Village the first Tuesday night. Pastor's up there jazzed up. Whoop, whoop. And I was sitting over where there were some BSM boys. And
BSM?
he was walking back and forth. He was into his sermon or whatever. And he's like, you know what? I used to hide a crack pipe in my sock. Now I hide an energy bar. I still got the juice. This was a pastor up on stage talking about hiding a crack pipe in his sock. Yeah, I can get behind it and go. That's a spot that I get some of my faith is from Serenity Village. I put the address up there. But hey, I challenge anyone, like, if you're living this life that we talked about our past and this life of addiction and alcoholism, like, I just challenge you to go find another way. You heard 4 people talking about another way tonight. Whatever that might look like, I challenge you to go do it. You're worth it. You're loved. If no one's told you yet today, let me be the first to say I love you. You're worth the fight, man. Fight for yourself. You're worth your happiness. Next week, we will see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jamie.
We
Bye,
love you.
Sammy. Bye, Elena.
Adios.
Adiona.